Before starting, please join me to welcome His Excellency, Mr. Mohammed Al-Hadari, Deputy CEO of SCA. Your Excellency, the floor is yours if you'd like to say a couple of words before we start.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh jami'an, and good morning, and thank you for having me here today to witness the launch of the SCA and Fintech Megathons, the first of its kind innovation programs for the UAE capital markets. I'm delighted to welcome the judges, the competing fintechs, and the audience of the ADX Innovation Challenge, the very first competition taking place under the SCA Fintech Megathons. I would like to first give a little background on the SCA Fintech's Megathons for those who are unfamiliar with it. It is a mega innovation programs that will run through till February 2022. Aimed at developing the fintech industry in the UAE, and the focus on finding fintech solutions to the financial service challenges in the several thematic areas of the assets management, investments, advisory, digital asset exchanges, crowdfunding, forex, SMEs, financing, financial inclusion, subtech, and regtech. SCA's mission is to protect the right of investors, promote sound practices, and create an environment attractive to capital markets. Using innovation systems, and one of our strategic goals, it is to promote culture innovations in the institutional workplaces. In this respect, SCA has already launched a roadmap to raise investors' awareness and financial inclusions within the UAE financial markets, and we see this megathon as a building upon previous efforts to further our missions. Effective financial services transformations requires people with a deep understanding for the way traditional capital market systems works, in addition to inventors. This collaborative efforts is bringing together the whole of the UAE's fintech ecosystems of inventors, financial institutions, and of course regulators to work towards this by achieving the theme of our megathon, which is reimagining the future of the inclusive financial services. Very much looking forward to see the 4 pitches today, which wish the participants luck and turn over to ADX. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you. Melissa, back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Hisham. Thank you, His Excellency. I would like to invite Omar Saleh Al-Serkal from ADX to say just a few words before we start the competition. Omar, the floor is yours.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning. Welcome, His Excellency, Mr. Mohammed Al-Hadari. First of all, I would like to thank SCA for this opportunity. I would like to thank all startup and company who participate in this events, and special thanks to Fintech Galaxy as a main pillar of this event. In ADX, we have a big ambition to double our market cap. Thus, we think that new technology like AI, DLT, big data, using the social media is important for us. It will accelerate our working toward this goal. And we look to the financial literacy as a main things in our ambition. So increasing the financial literacy benefit both the consumer, the investors, and especially as we concentrating here on the type of investors, and the financial service organization, the whole ecosystem. I would like to give you an example. Like yesterday, we just listing Al Yahsat, which is a new sector and a new type of business within our bucket of companies. It's a satellite company, you know, it's offering communication solution over 150 countries. So it's by country, the customers, it's covering Middle East, Africa, South America, Australia. Its market cap is 6.7 billion. So we don't want our retail investor to miss such opportunity because of lack of the financial literacy. Currently, we are building we are building dedicated infrastructure to the ETF market also. So it is not like the normal equity. So all of this opportunity within the financial literacy will help, you know, ADX to reach its goal. Research show that technology and innovations hold a great impression for personal finance and investment. So again, we welcome everyone and this, and we hope the good luck to all participate. Thank you.
I think you're muted, Melissa.
Sorry, yeah. Thank you so much, Omar, for this brief about the ADX and the market. So let's, without further ado, start with the competition. But before I do that, I would like to welcome all of the judges on this specific panel. We have with us, to start with, Khalid Asad Al-Amiri. He is Head of Financial Services and Markets Supervision Section at Securities and Commodities Authority. Welcome, Khalid, among the judging panel. We have with us also Pooja Singh. She's the International Organizations Expert at Securities and Commodities Authority. Again, welcome, Pooja, with us on the judging panel for ADX competition. We also, hi, Pooja, And we have with us, of course, Omar Saleh Serkal, Manager of Market Surveillance Section at Abu Dhabi Securities Exchange. And at last but not least, Ma'moon Brahim Abu Zaytoun. He is Acting Manager of Systems and Application at Abu Dhabi Securities Exchange. So without further ado, let's start with our first competitor, which is Zach Trader, name of the startup. And I would like to invite Shihab to start sharing his screen and prepare his presentation. Go ahead, Shihab, the floor is yours.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Thank you for the invitation. I'd like to start sharing the screen, just a second.
Sure, of course. Shihab, you will have only 5 minutes to pitch, and then we will leave the floor for Q&A. So let me know once you're ready so we can start.
Okay, I'm gonna go really quick. So I'm happy to start now.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'd like to basically a brief about us. We've been in the financial markets world for nearly a decade. We've been helping institutions basically to run their entire business operations on it, whether they're brokers, asset managers, etc. And we've been serving the banks, brokerage firms, etc. We really have been focusing on the professional users, to say the least, not the retail or the general public. But this was really a very good subject matter for us to lay down some attention on it, which is the retail and the public market. So what is innovation? Now, well, based on the practical definitions of innovation, we were able to basically extract that we would like to use something that we've already created and use it innovatively and in a simplified way to provide it for the consumers. And based on the current challenges, which we all know, we would like to use that as an opportunity to port some of the advanced professional tools we've been doing for the retail investors and avail it on public portals. We already have a few things we have already developed, but now we're happy to put that on exchanges, websites, public portals, etc. Stuff that looks like this: value analysis, technical analysis, using some AI engines to provide the users with some real-time data. And we will discuss, I'm going to show you live demonstrations in a few seconds. So we propose having some fundamental analysis where we have the financial statements of every single publicly traded company in the world, basically on the platform. So we can avail the UAE ones, especially the ADX ones on the portal. with drill down and filtrations. And I would like to see basically a company that is making a profit for the past X years and so forth. So you can do some filtrations. Technical analysis, for the ones who know how to do it, that's great. You just need the tools. But if you don't, then we can actually have something called, we call it the technical health, using AI that can tell you on a technical perspective, this company is doing well or not, from a momentum perspective or from other things. You don't really need to be a technical analyst to know the technical status of the company. The UAE specifically has launched derivatives, and investors understanding what derivatives are is fundamental. Being able to drill down on instruments and underlying instruments, and then eventually seeing the derivatives, and then eventually understanding what spreads mean, and do we have a good spread or a bad spread, and all those types of indicators without having to calculate it and to be shown in front of the clients. From a workflow perspective, it's simply putting those as widgets onto the portals of the ADX website and SCA's website. Switching straight into the demonstration. Basically, since we have already the financial data of all the companies, it can be laid out and displayed in any way or form. In an example like this is Aldar. We have the annual reports, we have quarterly reports, and we have the company profile, and we have information about pretty much everything. Then we can also go through value analysis and eventually going through that numbers and visually displaying it in an intuitive way, showing how's it doing over a timeline. We also have capabilities for doing technical insights, where we'll be able to go and drill down into the technical picture using the AI engines, or value analysis at the same time. This is where we do the screeners. For the more retail or more astute investors, they can get certain tools such as technical analysis tools that they'll be able to do it and apply certain things on it. Even if the international vendors may not support some instruments, since we're hosting it in-house, we can bring those tools straight to the investors right away and availing it for the consumer. So basically the pitch is to taking existing tools we already have developed and simplifying them and availing them to the end user, and making it really simple for people to see the big picture, especially now that we have the derivatives in place and understanding what it means. And if I'm going to buy an ETF, what are the constituents of that ETF? What is the fair value of that ETF? And going into the fundamental analysis. That should be it from our side. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Shihab. Now we'll leave the floor for questions from the judges. Please, the floor is yours.
Yes, hi Shihab, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Yes, Shihab, may I ask about if you have like forecasting modules, including this charting for investors?
Yes.
I mean, forecasting module.
Yes, the forecasting modules. The forecasting modules are available through the AI engine, where we apply predictive analysis on a multi-time frame analysis, so you can have forecasting over the few minutes or hours or days or even weeks. Those are available. We use sophisticated tools for that. Of course, running those tools is really too techy, but we already extract the outputs out of these tools and we display them in meaningful grids and meaningful charts. And those are the ones we are also trying to take forward and displaying it for the end consumers. Now, it depends on what the portal wishes to display. Some portals say, look, I would like to put some predictive analysis that may entitle that the end users that this is something that is going to happen for sure. So that may put some certain liabilities on the portal that's already putting this. So there's always a thin line between giving the end user the tool to play with it themselves, to see what would the output be, versus simply giving it to them on a golden plate and then blame the website that, look, it went down, but didn't go up as expected. But also the UAE markets, all of them now have short selling. They have derivatives. They have a few other instruments that are out there. So being able to actually see the technical picture and do predictive analysis is very important as well. We try to introduce simple to use tools available. The hard to use tools that professional users already use, they're already available. They're already used.
Shihab, I have a question. This is Pooja from SCA. Do you have any, see the basic idea of ADX is to make the data look more simple for the investor, because it is
Exactly.
retail investor. Some of the investors may actually don't have any trading experience. They may be first-time investors. They may only be investing in funds. I'm trying to give an idea about the kind of people who would be actually using the data. So do you have any prior experience, or your company has any prior experience in developing such frameworks which can simplify, or I would rather say oversimplify the...
Yes, so we have developed a trading platform. We've developed a platform for banks and brokers and asset managers. We provide reports that are extremely complex, much simplified in pie charts and a few other things for them from back office perspective, etc. So the platform is there, it's mature, it's used by banks and brokers. But we also have done something for CNBC Arabiya, for example. CNBCArabiya.com has been running onto the Zycrater data feeds for quite some time, but they've already wanted to display only factual stuff, fundamental data and non-opinionated data, because that's what they wanted. We've been doing this for over a decade so far.
Hi, this is Umar.
Integrated with the global data vendors. So we have data vendors that provide data, news, credit ratings, fundamental analysis, pretty much aggregating the data from all around the world and mapping it into issuer level data. So I mean, we don't really see sometimes a company listed in DFM and ADX simultaneously, but we will soon see a company listed in ADX, but also listed maybe in New York or somewhere else. So the fundamentals analysis of that company, although it's listed in ADX, could be probably to go back to the issuer where the company has originated from, because that's the financial statements for that. And being able to do, we have developed more sophisticated tools than this, and those can be available as well for the consumers, such as arbitrage tools. I mean, how cheap or expensive is the stock trading at this venue versus the other venue? And also, these tools are all available and can all be available to the consumers, one step at a time. In addition to gamifications and game engines and market simulations as well. Sorry, Omar, were you trying to say something? I apologize. I probably interrupted you.
No problem. Here, Omar from ADX. So how many click to reach to the end information? How many click the consumer will have to do until you reach the fine information?
This is where the art comes in developing the user experience. Now, since the information is available, we need just simply to define what the end result would like to have it. So if you would like to get a simple report that's talking about the technical picture of a specific instrument, it's just one click, because it's just a report already pre-compiled and refreshed every few minutes or every few hours about the instrument, for example, or it could be in real time. From a fundamental analysis perspective, there might be screeners already most popularly used, and then it's pre-populated. You just need to click show me, and then it just shows you. And then, but it also can allow the end consumer to change the parameters and save those options for them to come back. We use, it won't be just. Not all the consumers are the same, so we will also allow consumers to save their own settings, so when they go back, they can use the screeners in the last state they left them, so they're used to it. So the website also becomes like a research portal, giving you what you needed with a click or two, because it knows who you are and it knows what on your watch list, and you don't need to search for it every single time you log in.
So did you consider in your design if the consumer will anticipate the mistake?
What kind of a mistake? I mean, do you mean they anticipate the mistake as I thought it's going to go high, but it went low in this case?
No. In the term of design, in terms of like reaching the information,
Yes.
If I am the first time users, to this app or to this website, so I might do a mistake. I want X information, but I couldn't find it. I couldn't reach it. So how you design, how you
yes,
within the design,
anticipate the mistake, correct or asking the user. So what do you do in this area?
Okay. We actually have predefined screeners already available. So users would, if users are randomly clicking, they would definitely click on hand-picked defined screeners, even if they don't know what they're looking for. So if they click on something, I'm going to show you the most quality stocks from fundamentally, or the most prominent stocks to go higher, or the most prominent stocks to go lower if you intend to short it, for example, from a technical perspective. So the predefined screeners would allow the users to start on the right foot, if I want to say, and then eventually they should be able to know if they want to tweak those settings or not. Now, apart from that, the users will be able to also set up price alerts and stops, basically. So if, let's say I bought it through a broker, and I would like to, go into this portal and say, look, I have already bought it at this price, so I need this portal to alert me where my stops should be, and the system would recommend for you where the stops should be, and then you can click on it, and the system will alert you and send you an SMS or an email or even WhatsApp message. It depends on the portal's appetite on how the communication channels are enabled on it. So it has mobile apps as well, and we have mobile apps, and we have web apps, and we have information. So it's a careful blend between data, technical, fundamental tools such as sophisticated AI tools, and availability of real-time calculation tools available. And because we have all of that, in addition to trading systems being able to simulate the environment in real time, the clients will be able to even trade with paper money. So it goes into a game engine approach as well.
In terms of sorry.
تفضل عمر كمل تفضل.
In terms of the database, are you dealing with flat files, SQL database, big data structure? So what the type of database?
We use multiple databases, to say the least. Fundamental data, we structure it and we insert it all into an SQL database. That would actually help us in querying data and basically getting the data filtered with very specific requirements. On a technical perspective, when you talk, we store tick by tick data in flat databases and in real-time basis. Now, when it comes to streaming the data to the end consumers and using that data into AI, it goes through multiple databases. First of all, it gets into what we call a pre-aggregated data. So before we save the data, we do certain calculations on it, and then we store it. And eventually, when we go back and check it, if you have to always go back to raw data and check the data, and the website will be extremely slow and everything will be sluggish, because you have to recalculate everything just to come up with the answer that will take you to the second stage of analysis. So during the data harvesting stage, we aggregate a lot of data and pre-calculate certain matters and store it into the data. Now, from a performance perspective, we use memory caching as well. I mean, there's a lot of databases used into the platform where information is stored in multiple ways, and the middleware will be able to cooperate, to link between all of them into the decision-making engine. And there's multiple engines as well. Did I answer your question correctly, Omar? I'm not sure if that was the. Okay, thank you.
Khalid, you had a question, I think.
Same question, almost same question.
Okay. All is good from the judges. Any other questions? We can. Ma'moon. Yeah, sure.
Yes, Shihab, what's about the artificial intelligence tools? Do you have any artificial intelligence tools in this product? I mean, are you allowing algo trading? Are you allowing?
Yes. Well, okay. We have algorithmic trading. We provide that for institutions and institutional users, and those algo trading algos available. Basically, you can instruct them to buy VWAP, TWAP, 1/3 market volume, etc. But we have already availed into the general public just recently, something we call TCA, transaction cost analysis. So let's say if I have a big position I would like to dispose into the market, would that how is the best way to even sell that position? Should I just dump it into the market or wait and do it over 3 days, 4 days, or 5 days? And what are the best times to even sell that? So availability of these professional tools are also available that we can discuss it. TCA is one of them. The other, but TCA has quantitative analysis. It doesn't have artificial intelligence. There's actually a gray area between quantitative analysis and artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, sometimes you get outputs because you just don't know where the inputs mean together, but you eventually get the output. Quantitative analysis obviously is quite different, but we apply both. From the artificial intelligence, we use it if we would like for advanced trading terminals, which we can port it eventually into a much simplified version for end users. AI would help you determine the end result you wish. I would like to maximize my trades and maximize my winning trades versus my losing trades over the next X period. And I'd like to backtest that and eventually feed it with as many inputs as possible. These inputs could be technical, could be fundamental, could be mixed, and let the AI engine tell you what are the parameters per input that you need to look at so that it will be able to generate the signals for you. Sometimes the signals are not profit making. Sometimes the signals are for risk management purposes or for liquidity provisioning purposes. My mandate is to put as many orders as possible into the market, but I really don't care making too much money from each trade, but I don't want to lose, for example. So what kind of parameters do I need to use? If I have to go into the brute force method of trying every single possibility when I do certain backtesting, that would take me thousands of years to go through that with massive data. With AI, we're able to reduce that to a few seconds.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Shahab, this is Khalid from SCA.
Hi, Khalid.
What screens do you have for the mutual funds?
Mutual funds, we don't have much screens because the only funds we have for mutual funds are company profiles and the price feeds related to it. For ETFs, because the disclosure is higher, we have the constituents as well for exchange traded funds. And for that, we can apply fair value, and we can even apply real-time NAV calculations. And this is something we already provide for our major clients. So you can build your own private ETF in a way and not avail it on an exchange if you wish to have your own calculations, or you can build your own index. So what we can also provide is, look, I'm very much interested in creating my own customized index. I want to apply X% for this company, XY% for that company. This is not a regular investor that we're talking about. This is like a more advanced investor. But from ETF's perspective, is this ETF trading price today, the bid and the ask in the market, expensive, or is it cheaper to buy the ETF and eventually sell it when the price goes right, for example? Those real-time calculations and fair price calculations, we already have them available and we can avail them. And those are the same technologies used by market makers, frankly. I mean, we have some market making clients as well. So those are the same ways that market makers use those types of calculations and put their own spreads so that they will be able to price their own instruments into the markets and sometimes make their own decisions on it. Now there's an interesting project that we are trying to even develop here. It depends on SCA if they avail it or not. So we have brokers that have standard APIs that allow a portal hosted by the exchange or SCA to query the positions those clients have with multiple brokers so that they will be able to consolidate their holdings into a single location and eventually use that single location to analyze their holdings at multiple brokers within the same country and eventually route their orders into those destinations. So in a way, you can even bring in the transactional nature along with the analytical nature in one place if possible as well.
Thank you so much, Shihab, for your time. Best of luck. You can stay with us. Let's move to our next competitor. I'd like to invite Laurie Chandler from, sorry. 1 second. Okay. Laurie, can you open your camera, please?
Camera's
All
open.
right. Yes, now I can hear you. So we have with us Laurie Chandler from BondSmart. You can share your screen and start whenever you're ready.
Okay, is the screen share viewable?
Yes, yes, we
Okay.
can see it.
Great. Good morning, everybody. I'm here to showcase BondSmart's Investor Center engine, and I'm Laurie Chandler. We are a financial technology company designed to make access to investments simpler. We're 4 years into our business, and we're kind of champions of retail investors, inventors. Interesting to hear that word earlier. And I'm also a UAE qualified investment professional. Our approach is KISS, keep it super simple. So any solution for retail investors needs to cover the main capital markets in the UAE, and that is both equity and kind of debt. So if you actually look at retail investors, generally they are novices and they are young. So this chart here just shows you how much experience they've got versus various ages. And this endorses the KISS philosophy, keep it super simple, because most investors are getting younger and they are also less experienced. If you also look at the license holders under the UAE, there are multiple touch points with regard to where a retail investor could actually go. So just looking at the SCA licenses, you can see there is various different institutions that they may go to get solutions. But the key question is, because these are retail investors, the often question that we find that people get asked is, how much will I make? How much does it cost? So whatever data solution comes out, it's about keeping it super simple. KISS. So looking at what ADX has got currently, they've got some pretty clear kind of views on the equity side. They've also got a markets view page. But the debt side for ADX is pretty poor with regard to what is kind of available there. So I'll just show you kind of what the market's gone and done. So this is something that's available from First Abu Dhabi Bank, FAB. Again, the market has tried to move to a place to make things better, but they're not great. Again, if you're a retail investor and you're a novice and you're trying to actually look at something like this, it's really not going to work for you. And in addition, trying to get to some degree of technical analysis of some things is really hard. So what it needs is a very simple solution that's very much kind of visual orientated. So this is an example of what we do for putting together tabs for fixed income. We can do this and design this on a very simple basis for equities as well. And I think the point here is there is an opportunity to get a beachhead, and that beachhead can be established by taking a visuals approach and answering the key questions. Data is available, but not all data needs to be kind of going to people. So the key question, if somebody were to be investing in DP World, is how much will I kind of earn? Well, 3% per annum, a total return of 12%, 1 year holding. A quick tweet about that information, it's all there. Additionally, this kind of information is designed to be very visual heavy. It's imagine more people go and look at a property website and what is available to buy because of the user experience of visuals, then it would probably go to a website for kind of selecting stocks. So this is very customizable. It's also available to be fully broadcast to media. So if there's a certain trend that comes out that you want to be broadcasting, saying DP World has now risen up to 7% to invest, that can actually be programmed in as well. Having tabs is one thing, but it's about, again, answering the key question. And this one, again, for bonds is, right, how long are you willing to invest? How long, what kind of yield would you like to return? Sliders are very simple ways for allowing people to actually go and filter and get some kind of decisions together. So our approach is KISS. It's very much building on a super intuitive data presentation that's like house viewing, allows the simplest questions to get asked for the market, which is generally the novice investor increasingly these days. a key, I think, for people these days is that 50% of any data needs to be graphically presented. So visual heavy is the way to go. Additionally, because of the amount of touch points that there are and actually the assets that are there, that data needs to be available at anywhere. So we've got a simple kind of API layer that allows that to be broadcast, and maybe that can be plugged in with some sponsorship from something like ADX and be available for the entire kind of marketplace, or even forming part of the SCA website. So that is our presentation. We're happy to take any questions, and hopefully that was a quick insight for you.
Right on time, Laurie. Thank you so much. We'll leave the floor for the judges, of course. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
I don't see any rating for the issuer or for the country wise. So any reason behind that, Larry?
We do have, just for time, we weren't able to put that in. We can do that. What we've found is credit ratings are quite difficult for most retail investors to understand, AA through to C. So what we tend to do is we tend to just do it as a barometer, with 100 being effectively everything's okay, 0 being it's a defaulted. So we tend to use a barometer that we can go up and down. So what we do is we take the credit ratings, we convert that into a score on a very simple approach, and you end up with a rating. So ratings is part of what we do. We convert that public information into a score out of 100 and then just show it on a simple scale.
Yes, Laurie, this is Mamoun. May I ask about if you have any sort of integration with social media like Snapchat, Instagram?
Yes, there is. I think the integration, to be honest, is pretty easy. The technology is there; it's quite easy to do. The key elements is actually the design principles. So all of the tabs that you've seen could be very easily broadcast. The key thing is, if you like, what's the return I'm going to get, and what's it going to cost me? So it's all about broadcasting to answer the questions that the novice investor is likely to do. We can fully do that. It's a very simple process to be able to kind of go in and answer that. So yes is the short answer. The key element though is what you choose to broadcast.
Thank you.
Laurie, hi, this is Pooja from SCA. You made a comment during your presentation that you would be for a solution for ADX, you'll be customizing your screens or your template for equity as well. But because I understand, as we all know, ADX has the number of equity share listers is quite high compared to bond at the moment.
Yes.
So what do you have any certain template in mind or certain parameters you think which should be highlighted, keeping in mind the equity investors, or the retail equity investors, which would actually be using the platform? Anything you would like to specify here or mention?
Yeah, so I don't know whether you guys have used, for example, there's a price comparison website called Kayak, for example, which is available. It's a price aggregator for airlines. They have a very simple aggregate where they have a line with regards to trends and just say, right, buy now or not. So there is a basis by which you can do a little bit of a trend analysis, say, look, the price of the current security is below its long-term track record. Or you can convert PE to actually say, look, if you buy this share now, it's going to take you X number of years based on dividends to get some of your money back. So we have got a few design tabs that we can use to actually show where a price is now relative to its history. Again, that kind of approach can also be applied to mutual funds as well, because a lot of retail investors, I think the key element here is what we're trying to do for retail investors is help them to invest, not actually to trade, because getting into trading is a totally different world. So tools for traders is not actually possibly the solution here. It's about novice investors to get informed information on the data that's available. So the principles of what we've done for the bond, we've got for equity. And again, those can be super simple, because I think the KISS philosophy approaches to that. So it's about signals, scores, general directions, and visual metaphors for those.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Mr. Larry. This is Khalid from SCA. Do you have any experience with the GCC market and the UAE market?
Yes, we do. We are quite involved in the UAE market. I used to work for MSNBD a few years ago. We have an office in rep office in the DIFC. One of our shareholders is a regulated investment business. I am SCA qualified as well, so we're very familiar with the UAE market and actually the contact points. And hopefully, some of the data we've shown is again to show actually we are active in the UAE with that. So I can go into more detail on what we actually are doing in the UAE market, but we are known and we are active in the UAE.
Okay, thank you.
So if I am a medium or a low financial literacy, and I will start to use your solution, do you think it's worth to have an introduction for what is bond and how it is different from share or ETF or any other instrument? Do you have such introduction or such module in your solution?
Yes, we do. I also own a creative agency as well. So we are kind of pretty strong with regard to messaging and bite-sized videos and some things like that. So that's a key kind of philosophy, because if you like, some of the core principles about investing is either capital growth or income. And if you look at different assets, each of those has got different elements of capital growth versus income, even under that down to cash. So the education that we can do can go all the way through from cash all the way through to property, which is very active in the UAE, through to equities, through to corporate bonds, through to sukuk, also Islamic equities, and what makes a Sharia compliant equity different to actually a conventional equity. So we have that full education experience to do as well.
I see that you apply one of the main simplest designing, which is limited the option, and you design it very, very strongly. I see it clear. So my question about how you could balance between limit the option to the users and maybe not give him like I mean, maybe about, you know, something legal impact of this, you know. So,
yeah.
Because you make it very simple, it's amazing. But what about the legal impact of this, of such?
Yeah.
You consider this.
Okay, so there's a couple of things that you can do on there. So regulators across the world, because I'm regulated in the UK, I'm regulated in Luxembourg, and also, as I say, the UAE. One of the key things that's coming out now, terms and conditions, is what we call like a yellow pages. It's this thick. So what a lot of markets are now doing is what they call a key information document, KID. But even those KIDs tend to have pretty complex language in them. The financial service industry has been great at coming up with being opaque and complex language. So what we try to do is translate that into really kind of simple some areas. So if you are investing in this, these are the things that are good, but you know, equally, here's all the things that you need to be aware of. So we can actually generate KID-based documents, key information documents, that if somebody wanted to know what they were actually getting, they could do that. There's that dimension. The second thing is possibly a suitability type analysis, that if you are a kind of widow or orphan, you probably don't want to be investing in a smaller company that's doing oil exploration on there. That's not the kind of possible equity for you. So there is ways that you can do some pretty simple filtering to get some things through on there. So those are a couple of examples. I think the third point on the simple design principles, less is more, but it doesn't actually mean that what you do is you just take the first data. You need to have a skill whereby you get all of the data that's available, you put a sieve under it, and you take out the key kind of data that comes. That's actually a skill set in itself. It's not about just kind of wiping everything away. That filter to get the right data and present it in the right way is pretty key to it. And that's been something, ironically, we sat for 3 years working out what the best simple data would actually be. And getting that skill to filter is a pretty hard one, but it's now a little bit second nature to us. So we can design things pretty rapidly through what's called a design sprint, which is a 5-stage exercise for that. And that's the way that we've been approaching some of our agile developments.
Any other questions from the judges? All good. Ma'moon, you're okay?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much, Laurie, for your time and best of luck. Let's move to our next. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I would like to move to our next pitch with Clarity AI. I would like to invite Pablo Renedo. Hi, Pablo. How are you? You can share your screen. You can start.
Hi, everyone.
Preparing. Hi.
Okay, so let me try to share my screen. 1 second. Okay.
Yeah, we can see it.
So,
can you just enlarge it as a presentation?
Yeah. Okay. Let me know if you can see it now.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. So let me start. So hello everyone. So first of all, thank you very much for your time and for letting me pitch Clarity AI to ADX and the judges. So just for you to understand first the mission of Clarity AI. Okay. So we try to bring sustainability to the markets and change the way investors take their decisions on where to invest, right? So to accomplish that, we have built we have built tools, right? So we are a tech provider on sustainability. Okay, so in order to build those tools, we have like 3 main pillars that you can see here in the slide. Okay, so the first of all is the data. We gather data from many different sources, raw data from many different sources in order to build our tools on sustainability, and we apply AI and machine learning algorithms in order to estimate some data points that we need for our tools, okay, and for building our scores. And we also apply AI on the reliability checks in order to select the best quality data available in the market, to then apply our methodologies, which is the step 2, okay? So apply our own proprietary methodologies on sustainability, right? So we apply methodologies on impact, risk, regulation, climate. So we measure the different aspects from the sustainability in order to provide the users. We work with B2B users, with B2C users, retail clients. So we make them available all the information needed for them to take the decision on where to invest, and to make them clear what is the impact that their portfolio is having or their investment is having into society, into environment, with the different modules that we cover and that we offer, okay? And how we are able to provide this to the clients or to the platforms is by integrating our tools, right? So we have API and data feed tools. So you will be able to ingest all of our scores, all of our information, and with that, bring it into the way you might want in your platform and design it however you might want. Or we also have widgets, right? Which is quite simple to integrate. It's only copy paste of the front end and the back end, and it's iframes. So let me show you some examples of the widget. The widgets will be showing the clients all this information on climate impact, whatever they are investing in, right? So the way it is integrated is, as I was saying, like copy pasting in the platform, right? So we are working with web applications. We are working with mobile applications. So the widgets are able to be integrated in whatever the platform or the design is. And we are able also to customize a little bit the widgets. Okay, so let me show you some examples of the widgets. So I don't know if you can see my screen. Okay, now it's bigger. So this is an example of a widget from one of our modules, Impact Highlights, which is showing the portfolio impact from the client. Okay, so it's showing the tons of CO2 emitted by the portfolio, the energy use savings, the employment reduction. So different metrics that you can select and plug into your platform. Okay, so the client is able to see that. We are also offering the typical ESG risk framework. We are also offering from the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. As you can see, there are many different widgets that could be integrated. Okay, and you can integrate, for example, the UN SDGs, which is showing the impact from the perspective of the 17 goals defined by the United Nations to each of the clients, right? So the main idea is to have these widgets integrated into your platform, as we have done with other many platforms, Allfunds, BNP Paribas Manaus, So we have integrated with many different platforms, also retail platforms, and what we do is what we offer. Our proposal is to make clear to the customers what is the impact from the different securities that we cover. We have a extended coverage of 225,000 funds, more than 20,000 companies, right, and more than 300 governments. So we apply scores at all the different levels, and also to all the different securities, equities, funds, fixed income, whatever you might need. So the client is able to see the impact of the security, and then decide where they would like to invest, and also get the information reported on what is the impact of their portfolios. Okay, so that's the main idea, and that's the 5 minutes for me for my pitch. So
Yes.
any questions? Happy to take them.
Thank you, Pablo, for that. Let's leave the floor for Q&As. Thank you.
Same question here, Pablo. Sustainability, green environment is a nice word. So do you have any educational or introduction whenever any user will use your solution, you know? So what does this mean to such company, whether it is bank or factory or airlines, you know? So because this is different. So do you have any introduction which is telling the users what is the sustainability, what is about it, how it is important, you know?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we have different materials that we could be sharing with the customers, right? But what is quite important for clarity and answering that question is that we offer full transparency on how we build those scores, and also to educate the clients on how they would need to understand the different scores, right? Because sometimes it's difficult to understand why on the environmental pillar you are having a 60 about 100 score or whatever. So we are able to provide the full transparency on how we calculate those scores, and we are able to show that and pitch that also to the clients, right? So they are able to understand what is the meaning of each of the different scores. But also we are able to make it as simple as needed. Okay, so the impact highlights model that I was showing to you, it only has 6 metrics, and the actual tangible metrics that is translating on the tons invested or the tons emitted by your portfolio means 17 flights from London to New York, for example. So you are emitting those amount of tons of CO2, for example. So we are using also tangible metrics that everybody will understand, and the retail clients are understanding with a look.
Yeah, and actually, Omar, hi, sorry, I didn't introduce myself before. My name is Daniel Gonzalez. I also work for Clarity. I'm in the head of distribution platforms. That's a really good question, Omar, because when we are talking out to clients, the first meeting in more than half of the cases is more educational meeting, because we need to tell them the differences, for example, between the ESG risk or the sustainability risk and the impact, because they don't really understand how to say it, right? So during the actual sales process that we do have, that's part of our education, right? And we do have this kind of, as Pablo was mentioning, right? So we have materials explaining the differences between risk and impact, and how does it affect, for example, the ESG risk differently to each of the sub-industries, because at the end, the ESG risk methodology is based on a materiality matrix. That is the one that defines how relevant is each of the topics for each of the industries. And that's very different from a bank, for example, to an oil and gas company producer, right? So that's embedded into the methodology that we already offer, and the clients can see the differences and which are the elements that are affecting most each of the industries.
Yes, Pablo, this is Mamoun from ADX. Do you have any sort of technical analysis or fundamental analysis for these companies?
What do you mean with technical analysis? Sorry.
Technical analysis, I mean the charting analysis for the trading of these companies, and what's the expectation for the future of these companies, the prices future?
Yeah, so we have widgets on the security level, right? So measuring the impact of the different securities, equities, issuer, whatever, and we apply those scores. So we assign those scores at issuer level, right? So we also have widgets available for the company level, right? So you could see, or you could integrate in a platform the company level widget, which means that it will be showing all the different scores for that specific company, right? On impact, so we were able to provide what is the actual carbon emissions from that company and what are they committing to be during the 2025 and in 2030 also. So we are also giving the scores not only for the carbon, but on the different levels for the future and for that company level.
As for fundamental information, so linking the performance on sustainability with the future potential performance on financial comparison and so on, that's something we have done internally with our research team and so on, but it's something that we use for internal insights purpose, so we don't publish anything on that. Actually, we are collaborating now with a couple of research entities, external entities that have this kind of expertise in fundamental information, and they are trying to see if there is any correlation with specific elements of the ESG, for example, linked to the future expectation of pricing performance, right? So we as Clarity, we don't offer that, but we are developing some kind of initiatives and actions with external financial players to come up with these kind of insights.
Yep.
Sustainability report has a problem because it is 1 year old, but I will take the decision to buy and sell now. So how did you have any main effort to measure the current sustainability figures for such companies? Did you refer to the NGOs maybe? So such question, yeah, I like this question.
Yeah. So you are fully right, and that's a market issue. The fact that the delay of the information is 1 year old because they report it yearly. On the one hand, it's true that the performance of a company, for example, in CO2 emissions, Scope 1 and Scope 2, is not going to change drastically from 1 year to another. So even if you have only the last year information, the performance of a company will not change from 1 year to another. So it's not a huge issue. But it's true that in parallel, and in order to try to avoid that, we are launching and we do have our internal data gathering and data estimation models to try to see how to get the information as quick as possible, right? So we have our source team who is gathering information from publicly available reports. So we try to jump and to cut the timing that the third-party vendors take to clean and harmonize the data. So that's around half a year. And also beyond that, we also have estimation models that can give us the estimated score for or with the most, or leveraging the most recent financial information. For example, geography, revenues, amounts produced. If you are a cement producer, for example, we take the latest available amount produced and so on. So we have estimation models that will give us an estimation on how much this company should be emitting this year with this information, right? But you are right that it's a market issue and we try to fix that, but still there is some kind of delay with the data.
Yeah, and Omar, also it depends on the type of data, right? Because, for example, controversies, we have NLP models reading the news every week from Factiva, Dow Jones, and Thomson Reuters, which are our partners. So we read the news every week in order to change the score for the ESG risk depending on the controversies that they are highlighted on a weekly basis for each of the different companies. So those scores exactly or specifically are updated, for example, on a weekly basis.
Okay, Pablo, hi, this is Pooja from SCA. I have a more technical question. I saw your platform. Your platform is very clear and it very well goes with your name. My concern is the data which you use to capture it. Are you taking the data directly from the companies or at the back end, or you're working with some kind of data aggregators or certain database providers who are in turn helping you to create the screens or the platform we are seeing right now?
Yeah, so from our data providers, the way we collect data or gather data are from different sources. Okay, so the first source is, as you mentioned, third-party vendors, right? So we are gathering raw data, so the cost of CO2s, revenue streams, so the different types of data from third-party vendors. So we are collecting that from them. But we are also using, as Danny was saying, we are also using estimation models for those data points that are not publicly reported, for example, that we cannot find. We are also using our own collection team gathering the information from the public available data, so the public reports on sustainability, right? And we also have a corporates program, which we are exchanging our tool, our web application tool, in exchange for their first-hand data, right? So we have like an Excel file, and we send that to the companies, and they fill it and give us back their data, okay? And we gave them like a yearly license or access to our platforms. We do that exchange of data for our tool.
Okay. And what challenge do you see? Because if you look at the ADX platform, it's a exchange, securities exchange. Some of the investors, some of the users who will be using the platform, they want data real time. Sometimes they want data as old as 1 day. I think some of the points you mentioned that the data can be a week's old. So do you see this as a challenge? And if you see it as a challenge, what you think can be done to work around it so that, users are getting most up-to-date, I would say real-time, data to make your solution more attractive for them.
Yeah, actually,
yes,
here the metrics that change the most frequently is the ones related to controversies, right? So it's the news. In this case, as you were mentioning, right? So we do a full data update every week. But whenever there is some kind of controversy that might affect heavily a company score, we update it ad hoc. So we do it more frequently, right? So if there is let's say a Dieselgate for Volkswagen, we will update that in the platform in real time. So as soon as the NLP models identify that controversy, right? So in this case, you will not have to wait for a full week. As for the rest of the metrics, as they are reported or quarterly or yearly, they will not change from day to day. So the data they will get is the same. And you can get the scores daily with an API or a data feed, right? So in this case, you will make sure that you are always getting the latest available data. And if there is some kind of a strong controversy that appears these days, you will have it already in the platform visible.
Yeah, and as Danny was mentioning, like the challenge here is not normally the frequency of updating the data, because as Danny was mentioning before, normally for a company it's more important to measure the impact of that company on CO2 emissions, as it's not going to change daily. So I get that from financial perspective, and for financial data and analysis, it's quite important to have the data on real time in matter of minutes or seconds, okay? But from the sustainability part of view, it's like a more high-level perspective on whether the impact you are having on society and environmental is good, and that is not measured on daily basis, right? So the impact from CO2 emissions, for example, from a company is not going to change from one day to another, but it's more like a high-level overview of the company and how are they producing and emitting and working with their products and services.
Thank you.
Hi, Pablo. This is Khaled from SCA. Your solution is focused only on ESG. How you will customize it to ADX requirements?
So can you be a little bit more specific, please?
Regarding your solutions, what you are focusing only in the ESG, now if there is any requirements regarding the ADX, how you will change and implement that requirements for the ADX?
You mean from the financial perspective of the data?
Yes.
Yeah, so we are providing all the sustainability information, right? Because at the beginning, we started by using also or providing also financial information, but we realized that our strong points and our strong value proposition is on sustainability, and that is what we want to change, and that is like our mission as a company. And what we normally do is integrate our tools and our scores together with the financial data from other providers, right? So if you already have a platform which is showing financial data, we apply those widgets together with the financial data, so you can see the whole the holistic view of the investment all together, right? But we are not the ones providing the financial information, right? So we are like a complementary information to the financial analysis.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Pablo. Thank you, Pablo. Thank you, Daniel. Best of luck. So let's.
Thank you very much.
Ma'amoon, you wanted to ask something?
Okay. No,
please
thank
go
you.
ahead.
No, thank you. That's all. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, guys. Best of luck. Let's move to our last competition with investor. I would like to invite Khalil.
I do believe you can see my video.
Yes, we can see.
Merhaba. My name is Halil Doğan Bolak, and I am the Chief Technology Officer of a company named Investor. A little bit of a background. Investor is considered to be one of the most well-known global financial education apps out there, with a long history and track record. Investor has been funded to tune of about $50 million so far by investors around the world. It is currently a registered investment advisor in United States and is on track to become a broker-dealer, as well as a registered investment advisor in other jurisdictions, including the EU, Europe, and potential jurisdictions in Asia. We have about 40 employees, and we have 4 strong partners that are with us. That includes Snapchat, Coinbase, Apex Clearing, and Vast Nationally Chartered Bank in Oklahoma. So let me jump into and give you what we are, a high level. We had more than 1.1 million, actually approaching 1.2 now, million downloads in 226 countries. We are known to be the best brokerage app for beginners. Brokerage not only in equities, but also in crypto where are allowed. We have won numerous awards as the Fintech app of the year in multiple countries. And we have our own patented AI technology that is basically our own way of tracking the journey of a novice investor as they become an experienced and self-confident retail investor, so that we can present the appropriate tools and content along that journey. We are pure cloud. We don't use any SQL databases or any other legacy systems. And we are modular and flexible. That's why with the journey that we started in the United States, we're going to continue on to various other countries easily. Basically, the non-transactional side of Investor is an unparalleled learning experience. It is, we know that this is a journey where our aim is to level the playing field between professionals, institutionals, and the people on the street. For example, in our home market in the United States, there are about 150 million people who can have an investment account where they accumulate their savings, make intelligent investments instead of doing day trading or taking a risk in some unknown cryptos, some highly dangerous FX transactions, or even which is the fun of these days is invest in meme stocks or do derivatives without understanding what they are. So and our other aim is to be a fintech with a human touch, i.e. with a proper human-based customer service. So in this journey, we have tool sets that adapt to what people have already unearthed, discovered as they learn more and more. We have instrument profiles, we have explorers, we have portfolio builders, we have a customized news feed, price and profit alerts. We have a full paper trading game that is named Fantasy Finance. We regularly get more than 2 million trades in that game every month now. We have leagues where people are ranked between each other in returns, not absolute income. Then we have private leagues that you can set it up. We have a full learning management system that accepts text or multimedia lessons with an attached glossary that provides monitoring of the people as they learn and take lessons and advance and practice at the same time. We have a full social field, just like Facebook. We have private league chat rooms where groups of people can gather together and talk to each other. Or we have a direct messaging system that every user can ask each other questions. We also have a highly prized feedback system that analyzes your game performance and advises you what you are doing wrong and shows you any concentration of risk, any concentration of performance with various factor analyses. So all theoretical. I'm going to show you 5 pages of screens and to explain what they are. And at the same time, ladies and gentlemen, you can download the app and test it yourselves. Everything I'm showing you is already in production and used by hundreds of thousands of people around the world. Here's an investment instrument profile. You see the fundamentals. You can do technical charting, or you can do comparison charting. You can see the relevant news feed or people's posts on a specific instrument, and you can do a full technical analysis if you just flip the phone horizontally. Here is our fantasy finance game. You have a portfolio, real-time market data, no delayed data in this from all of the North American market.
Sorry, Khalil, I have to interrupt you. Your 5 minutes are up.
I just have one more sentence to say.
Okay,
and
fine.
Basically the leaderboard and prizes. Here you see the community aspects, and here you see the academic aspects. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Khalil. Thank you. Judges, the floor is yours.
Yes, Khalil, I actually download your application, and I install it and I navigated. It is really very good application. I was just would like to hear from you about artificial intelligence tools, if you have any sort of artificial intelligence tools in this application.
Yes, there are multiple. Let me start with the most important one. It is a patented AI toolset that uses quantum mechanical wave functions to predict the multimodality of human behavior. Right now, you're working. On Friday, you're going to be taking your kids to a mall. On Saturday, you might be watching a football game. On Monday, you might be interested in your cash flow because there are bills coming up. And on next Wednesday, you might be in the investment mode. So we do get 3 feeds. We know what you are playing in the game, what you're following. We also know your navigational clicks, each tap in the app, and how many seconds do you stay in each of the screens. So if it's a news, if you moved it in 2 seconds, you didn't read it, we know that. Or if you stayed there for 15 seconds, we do. So we put all of that into a quantum mechanical wave function. It's patented by the company. By the way, there is a 7-page patent. If you're interested, you can Google it and find it. And it actually gives you your profile, to which we can say, this guy is at this part of his investment journey, understands this, doesn't understand this, never seen technical charts, for example, or never looked at what EPS means, earnings per share. Because all of the app you've seen has a lot of question marks in there saying, when we display financial data, you can actually tap the question mark and say, what the hell is this? I have no idea what EPS means. Teach me. And then we can even link that to our glossary, and from there to our learning management system specific 5-minute lesson on EPS, for example, and telling them how it's calculated from which parts of the balance sheet and the income statement that EPS is actually derived from.
Yes.
So that's one. The other one is we have what we call a marketing engine, which is commonly in technology world is known as a rule engine, which is used a lot in the banks for pricing or credit card awards and limits and prices. So we have one of those that actually listens to this feed at the same time and monitors your behavior and presents you emails, over-the-air messages, inserts into your feed, shows different billboards within the app saying, let's pick you up on that part. The purpose is to get anyone on the street and take them in about 4 to 8 weeks to open an investment account, not for the Las Vegas style of gambling in the markets, but to actually save money in a proper portfolio with an expected risk and an expected return for retirement, to buy a house, to get married, whatever the case may be. And in fact, last week, Forbes magazine said, we are one of the 3 anti-Robinhoods in the world, because Robinhood, as you probably all know, is the complete antithesis of what we are. You just jump in, open an account, start trading derivatives, and either make a lot of money or lose a lot of money without understanding one thing about what you're actually trading with. It's almost like a slot machine at Las Vegas.
Yes, thank you.
To maybe add to the technical side, all the news and content and market data is plug and play. So if you guys want to give me Arabic news out of Abu Dhabi in an RSS feed and real-time market data, I can add it to the app and distribute it globally tomorrow morning. We actually had Abu Dhabi delayed data. We contacted you about 4 years ago, tried to get real-time data to put in the game. We couldn't go past the usual channels. So the game does not include UAE stock exchange instruments because of that.
Yes.
Something to add, we also have a Snapchat app because there was a question about Snapchat about half an hour ago. With about 500,000 users and about to be released in UAE in the next 10 days in Arabic as well, along with the rest of the world in Hindi and some other Asian languages and Latin American languages. It is called Investor Stock Stars. It is even geared towards juniors, high school or high school students to play real-time games with each other as a mini inside the Snap app. So you don't have to even go out of it. And that act, there's a significant learning component there about companies and others as well. And then from there, you can graduate to the main app.
Yes, yes. Yes, thank you. I will leave the mic to my colleagues from the judgment panel if they would like to ask.
Omar, Khaled, Pooja, anything else?
Yes, Ali, one question more from the regulatory perspective. Your app, your platform is fantastic. See, ADX is an exchange. So when they are having some kind of a platform on there, or they are offering it as their under their name, it has to be neutral and not biased. So it shouldn't, they should not come across anywhere saying that, okay, no, we offer or we recommend this security or this fund or this, because I mean that is not the purpose of this this challenge or the solution they're looking for. So how are you going to ensure that the app, if investor is using it, should the data presented or your platform or whatever they're looking at, it's neutral, it's not biased?
Good question. It is actually a well-known principle of SEC/FINRA in the United States and also FCA in the UK, that you choose what kind of investment advisor slash broker you want to be. We chose the path of a self-directed investment advisor slash broker. Therefore, we as a company never do recommendations. In fact, we expressly do not carry any broker's recommendations either, because we do not believe in their value to the younger generations. Instead, we have tens of thousands of our users who discuss, show their experiences in the paper game, and discuss the fundamentals, the analysis in their own language, not the language of the professionals or the technicals or the bankers, because they don't understand that language flatly and they don't care about it. They don't read PDF research reports. They don't read large Excel spreadsheets. This generation reads basically live social interactions. You've seen it in the Reddit case going on in the United States for the last 3 months. So we don't do ever any recommendations. We provide objective and verifiable information on the app, and we let our users in their communities or in their private communities or public communities discuss about it. In fact, when we post something to our feed, we specifically have a disclaimer line saying, look, we work at Investor. This is a personal post. It is not Investor posting anything for you to read.
Okay, thank you.
That is actually part of our regulatory framework.
Okay.
If it's going to be an ADX project, any ADX exchange member that basically conforms to a standard trading API, they can all be co-hosted in it, or the banks and so on and so forth. Because I only showed you the training side of it. You actually click a button and it turns into a US bank account, brokerage account, a crypto account, and a debit card in the same structure. And that's part I did not even show it to you because it's only available in the United States right now.
Coming from your point about the new generation, they're using the social media.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw you jump from you have your in your solution, you have your own social channel and this, and you moved to Snapchat. But the question is that what if, like in UAE, Snapchat is not the number one? Maybe it was Twitter, it was Instagram, you know. So, or in any other jurisdictions, you know, because these social media, they are strong in such area, and they are not used sometime in this area. So you lose an opportunity, or do you limit your cooperation now with Snapchat because it is, as I see, it's one of your foundry or one of your investors?
I think I said it incorrectly. Let me explain. We are using the Snapchat partnership to recruit users into Investor, our own app. So the idea is, you will remember 30 years ago, the way Bill Gates' Microsoft Office grew was he started giving out licenses to all the schools, high schools, and universities for free. So everyone who graduated wanted to use Microsoft Office, and their companies had to buy it. So the purpose of Snapchat is to have a large number of global customers and, you know, see our brand name, play it on the sandbox, and then graduate to our app. That's the first part. That's the purpose. That's Snapchat's purpose. The second, if you go through our app, any content that is indigenously generated in the app, a chart, a post, a comparison chart, a statistical analysis. All of those can be exported to all social networks, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, anywhere, because it's actually to our benefit to have our branded content floating in all of the social networks, allowing us to concentrate, let's call it the discussion, in us, which we are basically what is called a vertical social network. We're a social network for people who are interested in investing. So the idea is, and actually you can use us to have, let's have a vertical network for, I don't know, hunters or fishers. And you can do that. And that's the infrastructure we have, because we know that these generations, Z, millennials, etc., they trust each other more than they trust the experts. We did a lot of research into these crowds, and this is what we came up with in multiple markets. So we said, okay, all of you are together, objective. We provide the services, the infrastructure, and the training ground. You and the academics, if you want it, if you're inclined to go through the academics route, go for it. And we're willing to provide all those tool sets. And if you like everything, and then if you feel this is a nice community to be in a long term, open a bank brokerage account with us and stay here.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Khalil, for your time, and best of luck. Any other questions from the judges before we move to...
Yes,
yeah.
please.
Yes, go ahead.
Questions from Mr. Khalil. Thank you, Mr. Khalil. This is Khalid from SCA. Do you have any surveillance in the chat rooms to ensure any promotions or financial misselling for happening to the investors, especially the retail investors?
Very good question. Yes, and there are two levels of it. The first level is an automated level on the posts and the chat messages for vulgarity, for abuse, foul language, etc., which will automatically be replaced. Additionally, as I said all the way in the beginning, that we want to be a fintech with a human touch, we have several community managers that live basically in the app with various tool sets on a 7/24 basis. That is our advantage in making sure commercial promotions, fake news, political infighting, anything else you don't want to keep in this social vertical is policed and guided. We, in fact, put our initial users into a specific monthly private group where we orient them. And if you look through our app, in anywhere that you see a user contribution, there is a flag beside it. And if you don't like it, if you feel this is offensive, wrong, you can just tap on that flag. We'll ask you why you're flagging that. And one of our members, community team members, will actually look at that in the next few minutes. And if need, remove it and ban the user or whatever. We had problems with that. So we have a full infrastructure already that actually polices and protects against it.
Okay, thank you.
All done. Any other questions? Ma'moon, Khalid, Omar?
No, it's fine. Fine.
So thank you so much, Khalil, and all the competitors and all the fintechs for your time. I would like to invite the judges, please, to move to our breakout room so we can have a discussion. For the rest of the people with us on the call, please stay with us. We will be back in few to announce the winner of this competition. We'll be back in 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you for your patience. His Excellency, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back again. Making our financial system more resilient with the technology is a key of in the aftermath of the COVID pandemic. UAE was the first country to lay down the groundwork for the fintech ecosystems in the Middle East, and the sector has truly flourished here. We want to continue to build on that success, and can clearly see from our fintechs competing today that this Megathon is doing just that. It has been inspiring to see this exceptional talents attracting new ways of thinking to the UAE financial services markets, and key to making the UAE amongst the top fintech hubs globally. On behalf of SCA, I thank all the judges for their valuable times today, and the organizers for their great efforts in all the arrangements. I also take this opportunity to thank all the fintechs for their presenting their impressive demos and solutions. And now it's the time to announce the winner. The winner of today's ADX Innovation Challenge is Investor. Many congratulations to you, and like to thank everybody to joining us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you and congratulations.
Congratulations.
Consider us virtually clapping for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your kind consideration.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
And thanks everybody for attending. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a lovely Eid break, everyone, and hope to see you soon. We'll get in touch. Bye bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you.